With the first ranking of the Dream Warriors absolutely smashing all of my expectations, I feel as if it's only fair that we finally rank all of the main game bosses now. I will go ahead and preface by saying that this listing will not contain any of the bosses that you find in the Pantheon, such as Sly, Oromato, Shio, Sisters of Battle, or any of the other ones I'm maybe missing in there. Reason behind that is because I haven't gotten through the full Pantheon yet, and I don't feel like I could fully, give out a good explanation. This listing will also contain a little bit of spoilers, so if you haven't beaten the game for yourself or want to experience it for yourself, I highly recommend coming back at a later date. But in the meantime, we're pretty close to that 100 count subscriber goal that we set for the new year. Maybe consider it, I don't know. Very, very close to the new year goal. But anyways, enough yapping. Without further ado, here we go. To begin our list, we have Gruzmother in C tier. I feel like this is a very good beginner boss for most new players and just kind of allows you to explore the different mechanics and attacks and just allows you to learn a little bit. This boss doesn't really do a whole lot besides float around and slam up and down around the arena. So, I mean, it's not much going on here. Vengefly King in D tier. I feel like this is an incredibly boring boss. I mean, there are ways to speed this boss up, like you could pogo him outside of the platform and do other things, but he has one set attack and he spawns in minions. That's pretty much all there is to this boss. It's a very slow, very boring fight. I mean, yeah. Brooding Mollik in C tier. If you know me, you know that I absolutely despise this boss. This boss is just a pain in the ass for me, honestly. I will say I like that this boss offers a challenge for beginner players with its many varieties of different attacks, spitting stuff at you, shotgun spitting stuff at you, and swiping with its claws, and jumping around the arena. It has a lot of variety, and that's why I placed it higher than I feel like I should have. I forgot to mention this earlier, but for this listing I'm going to be ranking the normal boss and then the dream variant together. So to start off that little list, we have Failed Champion / False Knight in B tier. I feel like this is a very, very good learning curve for most players. It really teaches a lot of players that there could be many different varieties as far as attacks goes. With the shockwave attack from the stuff falling down from the ceiling. It also really teaches players that you're not going to be able to get a lot of soul from some fights. Like in this fight, for instance, you can't gain any soul off of smacking the armor. The only soul you get is from when you smack the magnet itself. So, it's a good first boss. I like this boss. Taking our very first S tier spot, we have Hornet 1 and 2. I absolutely love these fights. All the way from when you fight her in the very first time in Green Path, to the fight in Kingdom's Edge, even though she wiped me like 7 times. I feel like this fight is very well-rounded. I feel like it teaches players that you're not going to be able to have many opportunities to heal in some of these fights. You're going to have to stick and move. You're going to have to learn different tactics, and you're going to have to become Bear Grylls and adapt. So for that, S tier. Taking our very first F tier spot, I feel like everybody can agree with this. We have Moss Charger. This boss, well, to easily put it, stand in one spot and click your attack button. That is the entire fight. Do I really need to say anything else? Taking our next S tier spot, we have Mantis Lords. I feel like everybody can sit here and agree with me on this, that this is an S tier fight. This is the very first fight in the game that adds environmentals such as like the spikes and allows you to wall jump with Mantis Claw, and it really just, I don't know, dude, like everything about this fight just feels fluent. It really does. After you kill the first Mantis Lord, the other two pop out, and it adds more speed and ferocity to the fight, and it really just tries to keep you engaged in it. Even with the attack where they sit there on the walls and they throw the spikes at you. I mean, there's a lot you can learn from these fights, and it's, I don't know, I just love this fight. Our next fight is with the Oblables at B tier. I feel like a lot of people are going to disagree with me with this one. However, this kind of in a way gives me Dark Souls, Ornstein, and Smo kind of vibes. Like, in the very beginning it starts off kind of slow, very hectic with the random blasts of infection all over the place, but after you kill the first one, the second one becomes enraged, and the fight picks up even more, and he becomes faster, shoots faster, sprays faster. I don't know, I kind of like this fight. I wouldn't say it's a good fight by any means, but it kind of brought me back to Dark Souls, and that's kind of why I like this fight. Taking our very first A tier spot, we have Hive Knight. If you've watched any of my streams, you know that I absolutely despise fighting this guy. However, I love this fight in the sense of, A, it's in a secret area, right? The game doesn't tell you that, hey, this is going to be an area that you need to access at all at any point. It's completely optional. And I also just love his mixed variety of attacks that are themed specifically towards this area, like the spray of bees. I like this fight. It's a good fight. Taking our next S tier spot, we have Broken Vessel / Lost Kin. I love this fight so much. There's so much going on in this fight, and there's never a dull moment in it, honestly. This man has all different types of attacks, from ranged attacks to slam attacks to him floating through the air and jumping at you. And his little spirits are annoying, right? I think we could all agree on that. But it adds to the depth of the fight because it gives you more soul to use more spells and more power against him. I think this fight dynamically is just a very good fight. And I don't think anybody could prove me wrong on that, honestly. Next up on our list, we have Nosk in C tier. I find this boss incredibly annoying. He just sort of runs around the arena and sprays infection at you, and then when you get him down to a certain health pool, he jumps up on the ceiling and drops it down on top of you. He's just kind of an annoying fight to begin with. I like the dynamic of it being a spider-themed boss because you find him in Deep Nest. And the only reason why I'm placing him so high is because the build-up for this fight is pretty cool. You find a doppelganger that looks exactly like you, only to chase him down to find this horrendous thing. Like, the dynamic is cool, but other than that, he's just kind of an annoying boss. And honestly, if I could skip him and still get 100% or 112% in the game, I probably would. A lot of people are probably going to be shocked by this next one, but we have the Collector in A tier. I don't like this boss in the sense of he's creepy, right? And he's just this giddy little guy who jumps around the arena like a turd the whole goddamn time. However, I like that for his music theme, it's the different Hollow Knight theme. He drops stuff from the ceiling. It's all jar themed. It's all very collector themed. This boss is purely themed around himself and nothing else. And he's unique in that aspect. I don't like that he spawns aspids. Those are kind of annoying. But I don't know, man. There's something about this boss that it's kind of charming to me in a way, you know? You know what I mean? On our list, we have Crystal Guardian / Enraged Guardian in D tier. There's really not much difference between this boss and its counterpart. They just deal double damage. He's one of those bosses that you just kind of stand there and smack him to death. It's really a DPS race. Next up on our list, we have God Tamer in B tier. I like this boss, again, in the sense of it being purely unique. The arena is completely optional. You don't even have to do it. So most people probably won't discover this boss on their first playthrough because, let's face it, the Trial of the Fool is a pretty hard challenge. But I like it also in the sense of it's another pairs battle where one of them matters and one of them really doesn't, which kind of gives it its drawback. For me. Again, kind of a DPS race, but I like the uniqueness of this fight. Next up on our list, we have Umu in D tier. I like this boss in the sense of you get an NPC to help you with this boss. But other than that, there really isn't much. I mean, it's just a hurry up and wait kind of game. Run around the arena like a dummy the whole time as you're getting shockwaved. I mean, you can't even damage the boss until the NPC actually helps you. I mean, it's not giving for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just... yeah, I don't know. Next up on our list is Traitor Lord in A tier. I was originally going to place him much lower, purely because when I fought him for the first time in Queen's Garden, I absolutely hated this boss. However, there's something charming about him in the sense of he's unique, his lore aspect between him and the Mantis Lords. I like the field of depth and the story behind him. So for that, I think he deserves an A tier spot. Next up on our list, we have kind of a boss, Soul Warrior in B tier. This guy rocked my shit the first time I stepped into the Soul Sanctum, but I feel like that's what's giving about him, is that he really teaches the players that, hey, this is your learning curve, and I'm going to be here to kick your ass every step of the way. And there's a lot of mechanics you have to learn to actually face him that are very useful later, which we're going to cover. Speaking of soul-themed bosses and slam attacks, we have Soulmaster / Soul Tyrant in A tier. I personally love this fight. I love the mechanics of this fight. I love how he fakes you out with his first quote-unquote initial death. I feel like this is a very impactful fight in the story, purely based on variety. I mean, there's so much to learn from this boss. He teleports around the arena, he throws objects at you, he's floating from every which way. He really gives the player base a sense of hurry up and move as one of those first dynamic bosses besides Hornet. I just love him. His second phase with the Ultra Slam attacks where he's just absolutely coming down on you. Like, arguably, this is a good fight. Not an S tier fight by any means. I feel like I might have misjudged him. I don't know. But I think he's a good fight nonetheless. Next up on our list, we have Dung Defender / White Defender taking the A tier spot. If you've seen any of my streams, you know that this guy has been my Pantheon run killer. This man absolutely brutalizes me almost every time I fight him. There's really no doubt about it. But I love him, again, in the sense of uniqueness. He's one of the only bosses to actually just slam around the arena sporadically, as well as throw objects around the arena that just bounce all over the place. He's hard to dodge, he's fun to learn, especially with White Defender when he introduces his spike attacks, when to actually use your Shade Dash and when to preserve it. I think he's a good fight, I really do. Is he an annoying fight? Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that, especially with this phase when he jumps into the ground and he just starts slamming and throwing all sorts of projectiles at you, and there's not really anything you could do about it besides run or try and get an Abyssal Shriek off. Like, I think he's dynamic. I think he's unique. He's the only shit-themed boss in the game, that's for sure. I think he's funny as well. I love Ogrim as a character. I love his backstory and his lore between the defenders of the City of Tears. I love this fight. Next up, we have Watcher Knights, securing an A-tier spot on my list. This is arguably the hardest fight to obtain one of the Dreamers in the game. They run in pairs, they're super tanky, they jump all over the arena. At first, I felt like this was a very annoying fight. However, what I didn't realize until I got to the Pantheons is that this boss teaches you something crucial in the game. And that is patience. There's an opportunity for everything in this boss fight. There's an opportunity for spells, there's an opportunity for attacks, you just need to know when to properly use them. And my first playthrough of this game, I did not. I got Unbreakable Strength and I decided, hey, I'm going to damage tank everything and just smack my way to victory. This boss taught me that you cannot do that for most bosses. That, and I think this boss is very cool in the sense of, again, it's a pairs fight. I love pairs fights, what could I say? But, I don't know. I love the aspects of this boss, how they just sort of shred around the arena, and you have to predict their movement, as well as predict their attacks with their nail slashes. Again, good fight. Next up on our list, we have Fluke M, taking an F tier spot. I hate this boss. This boss is not only annoying, but you could literally just sit there and pogo him throughout the entire fight. There's nothing special about him. Look how quickly he's dead. I killed him in like 4 or 5 strikes. Maybe, I don't know. Next up on our list, we have No Eyes. Oh wait, hold on, I need to... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, perfect. I fucking hate this boss. I hate everything about this boss. I hate the music theme of this boss. I hate the random flying unpredictable projectiles. I hate how she just teleports all the way around the arena. I hate this boss. I don't know what more to say. Like, if you know anything about me or my streams, you know how much of a nuisance this boss is for me. This boss is just annoying. Like, I like the uniqueness of it in the sense of it's the only boss to have this sort of theme of attack and only creepy vibe, but I fucking hate this boss, man. Next up on our list, we have Marmu in D tier. Some people might be mad about this spot, but again, it's just sort of one of those things where you just stand in one place and smack the boss. The only really forgiving thing about it is that it has funny lore behind it, that it It has a comedic sort of aspect behind it, but other than that, smack, smack, smack. Next up on our list, we have Gorb, or Daddy Gorb, in C tier. I think this boss is hilarious in the sense of when you first meet him, he's talking about ascending and ascending with Gorb, and he speaks in very broken English, and he's funny. I also like how he just sprays attacks all over the place. It's kind of unique in the sense of run around, figure it out, figure out how to dodge. That, and honestly, this fight is good for practice when it comes to Radiance, believe it or not. I know that's kind of hard to believe, but she kind of has the same needle pattern if you really think about it. Next up on our list, we have Galen taking a B tier spot. This boss is annoying, right? Let's be honest here. Him throwing this cane all over the place, and then when you get him down to certain health pools, he spawns more miniature canes that you can't repel. He's annoying, but he teaches you again to stick and move. Learn how to dodge his attacks. Learn when to use your Shade Strike, when not to. He's a compelling boss. Y'all probably saw this one coming already, but next on our list we have my boy Elder Who taking an A tier spot. I love this boss. I think he is a great boss. And honestly, if I could re-rank my soul tier or my dream tier bosses, he would probably be number 1. Honestly, he would be. I love this fight. I don't know what it is, dude. There's just something interesting about him. Being able to dodge all these rings and having sporadic patterns for the rings, and he's one of the only bosses in the entire game that throws things from on top of you. I don't know, I love this fight. I really don't know what it is. Next up on our list, also taking an A tier spot, is Zero. I really like this fight, and I like this fight in the sense of, A, it's unique, again, of course, but also, it trains you for other future boss fights, like Markoth. In his first 50% health phase, he only has these 2 swords, which doesn't seem very threatening. But when you drop him down to 50% or lower, he pops out 4 swords, and things start to pick up. He starts to throw them faster. And again, it's a really good training boss for future boss fights. Speaking of Markoth, here he is taking an A tier spot. This one might piss a couple people off. I know it probably will, but I love the dynamic of this fight. I like how he has a dream shield. I like how he throws these darts and nails around sporadically all around the arena, and they're almost completely unpredictable. I like this spinning attack move where you finally get to pop off some decent damage on him. I think it's also really good in the aspect of when you get him down to a certain health bar, he breaks out a second shield, and one defends him while the other one swirls around when he does that certain attack move. And the nails just speed up as you continuously kill him. There's really not a dull moment in this fight. I know a lot of people hate this fight, primarily for that reason, but I think it's a very good fight. Next up on our list, we have the one and only Nightmare King Grimm / Troop Master Grimm. This guy is no-brainer taking an S tier spot. If you think otherwise, you're smoking crack. Like, this fight is insane in every single aspect. With his normal Grimm Troop fight, it's pretty simple, it's pretty basic. He just dashes around the arena. But when it comes to Nightmare King Grimm, he drops in at a whole nother level with this new special Firewell attack, and he's 1,000,001 times faster with every single one of his attacks. It's engaging. It's a constant battle. It's like a war of attrition almost, in the sense of you need to kick his ass so fast before he kicks yours. And trust me, your first time fighting this boss, he is going to kick yours. He's going to kick the crap out of you. And that's just what's more compelling about this fight. Like, it almost drives you to win. It's like, okay, this guy's kicked my ass 20 times in a row. I need this fight. I need to win this fight. If that isn't enough for an S tier spot, listen to the damn soundtrack of this fight. Like, come on, dude. This is an obvious no-brainer S tier fight. Next up on our list, we have the Hive Knight, aka Big Bro version 1. I personally love this fight. I think this is a great fight in the sense of it's compelling, it's story driven, there's so much lore behind it. This is the fight you've been waiting for the entire game. This is the moment that you've worked up for the entire time. I love this, from his basic slash attacks all the way to the dramaticism of him stabbing himself from trying to repel the infection and not let it drive him and not let it escape. Like, this fight is insane, and it's beyond deserving of an S tier fight for how story driven and lore bound it is. I mean, if you don't know about this guy, just go read some of his lore or go watch it on YouTube. It's great. It's meaningful. It's depthful. There's just so much about him.
I'm gonna heal. Yeah, Hornet, please. Would you like to? Thank you. Have fun, Braden. See you later, buddy. I'll still be here by the time you get back. Don't worry.
To follow up the Hollow Knight, we have
or the next 5
Radiance,
days from now.
also at an S tier fight. I think this boss is a work of art. Truthfully, I do.
Oh my God.
Despite how much this boss kicks your ass, this is, again, the boss you've been fighting for the entire game. The thing you've been hearing about that has ruined the lands of Hollow Nest throughout the entire game. Every lore tablet that you have almost read has something to do about this, the infection, Radiance, especially when you enter the City of Tears. I mean, it's all over the place. I like the variety of attacks in this boss. I like the cutscenes that appear in this fight that make it seem like the fight is already over, but it's only just begun. I like how there are multiple phases. I like everything about this fight. Truthfully, I do. Despite this boss ending my most recent Steel Soul run in a extremely fell swoop, I think this is by far one of the greatest fights in this game. I think it is very, very impactful. I think there's a lot going on in this fight. That, and it's just, oh, the much more satisfying when you finally beat the true ending and finally beat this boss for the very first time.
I'm the fucking spikes. Can you stop fucking running from me as well? This shit's low-key fucking annoying. Oh, are we starting climb? We are starting climb. I'm just gonna go for it. We're just gonna fucking go for it. God damn. There we go, bitch! Get good! Woo! Oh shit. Beat that ass! Fuck you and yo motherfucking mama, bitch. Let's fucking go.
Oh, you're still here. Well, I mean, hey, since you made it all the way, why not subscribing and telling me what you think in the comments? You think maybe I misjudged some bosses, or maybe I judged them all fairly? Before you even ask any criticism about No Eyes, it's just gonna be immediately rejected. Worst boss in the game. I don't care. Either way, though, I appreciate you making it all the way to the end, and hopefully maybe I'd see some new faces in the stream based off of this. Either way, hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, guys.